Hello there everybody, back once again like the Renegade Masters is the dream team of the hashtag Good After News, the original lineup, myself and the considerably handsome Adam Nicholas. Hello. Say hello Adam Nicholas.
Hello Adam Nicholas.
And we have of course for you many afternoon stories, including...
Oh, you took me off guard there.
Sorry.
But it's okay because the new theme song for Smackdown could well have been revealed.
We've got some backstage news on the mindset and the talent of NXT.
Stone Cold Steve Austin has filed for some new trademarks.
Interesting, but first coming up, the whole title of the video, the whole premise of the news is that we have the real reason, according to the man himself, why Chris Jericho finally walked out on WWE after years and years and years and years and years and years and years of it being the only company he'd worked for. Ever since he left WCW, he only wrestled for WWE until he just turned up in New Japan to wrestle Kenny Omega, and he has teed to the mature audience's mayhem, or the mayhem audience's mature MAM
Something
podcast
of that nature.
He has revealed the nature of his exit, and it all stems from that WrestleMania match against Kevin Owens. Quite an interesting one. This, because obviously he was with the company for some considerable time. After that he showed up in Saudi Arabia, but he does believe that he is now persona non grata in the company, but apparently his decision to leave and explore new avenues all came from this match. Basically, story goes that he was told that him and Owens would be headlining WrestleMania for the Universal Championship. They'd had this whole long-running festival of friendship and the Best Buds angle that all exploded in his face with that. God, you'll never forget that, will you?
Very good.
Why is my name on this? It was the best moment they had on Raw, probably all that year, certainly in the lead up to WrestleMania. But he has stated why he has left the company, and I have the quotes for you thusly. Where are we? So this goes after they've already been told that they're going to be the main event. So this is already Vince has said you're going to be the main event. You're going to be the main event. Says, but then. Brock wrestles Goldberg, which of course Vince likes as well. Now Brock put Goldberg over and they wanted to do a rematch, but Brock only wanted to do the rematch if he could win the title from Goldberg. That was Brock's idea. Vince apparently really liked it. Vince said that it's going to be you versus Kevin Owens for the world title at WrestleMania, and you're going to win the title, and I was all... yeah, very excited about that. Next week, he doesn't tell me, but I hear that it's changed to Brock Lesnar versus Goldberg for the same title. And not only did they take us out of the main event, and once again, just because I was told I have no right to be in it, things change all the time, I'm a big boy, I can handle it, etc., etc. But to take us from the main event slot and then move us to the second match on the card, where there's 12 matches on it, I was like, that's a flippin', I presume it says flippin', just as F than start out most of it. Flippin' insult. So he goes on to talk about how, like, if you put on the first match, fair enough, that's also an important part of the thing. If you put later on in the card, yep, that's also an important part of the thing. But the second match is pretty much the worst spot you can get on that card in his eyes, and they moved him from the main event to that without ever telling him why. So he was like, well, I haven't got to put up with this. That's disrespect. I've done everything for this company. I've given everything. I've done a great program, but apparently that's not enough. And then, of course, he left. Now, you might speculate that it's got something to do with the way Vince treated Kevin Owens after that match, because Owens was like, yeah, that famous bit from his episode where he's like, oh, did I do good, boss? He's like, so yeah, bit of an odd one, that.
Bit of an odd one. For anybody who is a fan of Chris Jericho and has read his books, this is probably the straw that brought the camel's back in terms of this happened to Jericho time and time and time again. Every time he gets close, Vince says, oh, like, do me this favour and I'll owe you one. Do me this favour and I'll owe you one. And it never ever happens. And to be fair to him, this is the most, I'd say this is probably the most impactful Chris Jericho could have possibly been, maybe in his entire WWE career, when he came back and had that stint. And the end product should have been, we would have both been there to watch.
We would have both been there, we were there.
Should have been Kevin Owens versus Chris Jericho. That was the payoff. That made the most sense. Obviously, Vince went another direction. In the match, in fairness, which I thought was quite good on the night, Goldberg versus Lesnar, they got the best out of what they could have.
Oh, it was a brilliant match.
But I would have rather watched this match. So understandably, Chris Jericho, a man who has a fairly big ego, but rightly so because he's that good, wants to be at the top of the card. And if he's not going to happen in WWE, then take your ball somewhere else and go and make yourself a star, which I think we can all agree he probably has.
Remember at the time there was loads of speculation that Jericho was going to end up winning the Rumble purely to set this match up, and it didn't seem like a stretch. At the time it felt like a very realistic thing.
He had the Iron Man in the Rumble, didn't he? And now he's got, like, he had the cumulative, I don't know if he still does, but run in the Rumble as well, which is madness.
It's just an odd one really when you consider sort of like, we all thought, oh, Chris Jericho, he had one last reinvention in him. This is his last run in WWE. Makes sense to give him that main event. And we didn't get it. We're like, oh well, bit of a flat end to his career. And then smash cut to it. bit years later, he's had another reinvention and he's relevant again. So it does kind of make Vince look slightly silly, let's just say.
Rule Chris Jericho out.
Never, ever.
Constantly evolved to the point now he's the top of
AEW.
AEW, there you go. So yes, moving on to the top of something else. Something Smackdown. We are in a position to tell you perhaps what might be the new theme song for Smackdown when it goes on to Fox. Now this is sort of speculation, but potentially there is a lot of thought behind this one, because Lords of Pain are reporting that the new theme song for Smackdown may have been revealed during a promotional ad for the first show. It was a promotion that was promoting Brock Lesnar, obviously. Brock Lesnar versus Kofi Kingston is going to be happening obviously for the title, as we saw last night, and that is a match that is probably going to end in potential heartache, but that's a whole other story. The most important thing here is the song. The song, are you ready for this?
Go on.
Because the song is
You can
called
sing it.
Are You Ready? And it's by
I see what you've done there.
And it's not a new song by any means. This song is an old song. How old is this song?
We're quite old, about as old as me and you. If you're wondering why we're not playing it right now, because it's an existing song, that means there is software out there which will find this song if we play it, and we'll demonetize our channel, and none of us will be allowed to eat or pay our bills. So just Google that.
Song was on the 1990 album Razor's Edge by AC/DC. So potentially,
that's clever.
Depending when it may have come out, this album and this song could be older than me.
Could be older than me. It could have even inspired Scott Hall's finisher. If you want a little bit of synergy
if you
with it all.
If you really want to go down that road, it could potentially have done that. But interesting maybe that they've gone for a song from the 90s, you know, going on to Fox, possibly bring back some nostalgia in the era. I don't know.
I will say, you did mention there that the Kofi versus Brock match may end in heartbreak, but I will put you another thought which has just occurred to me while I've had a nice little trip to the toilet there. Survivor Series ain't long. Well, when you weren't looking, Survivor Series ain't long away, is it?
No.
Imagine if Brock beats Kofi. Imagine if the Fiend beats Seth. Imagine if we get Fiend versus Brock.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, it's actually quite good, that, isn't it, when you think about it?
I know, but is it? What happens to the Fiend? Does the Fiend beat Brock Lesnar?
I don't know, you'll have to tune in. That's what you want to watch it, don't you? You want to watch it. Is that it?
That's pretty much it.
So, well, we've got some...
that's, next, potentially, that could be happening next month.
Well, speaking of a WWE product about to move to a new network and get a whole new lease of life, it's NXT coming up tomorrow night, and HBK's Shawn Michaels has provided some insight into the mindset of is it tonight? Well, it's technically tomorrow night for us, because it didn't start ill.
No.
We're technically tomorrow morning. Yeah, so look, I know what I'm doing anyway. I'm doing ups and downs, so I might as well try and figure out when. Anyway, Shawn Michaels has provided us some insight into the mindset of everybody backstage at NXT, and as well, before I get into this, the first thing he says is, the first time he went into the Performance Centre to really see how NXT worked was 3 years ago, and apparently the first words out of his mouth were, this will be on TV someday. Yeah. But, which, I mean, is very easy to say now.
Really
very easy to say now, but we'll give him the benefit of the doubt. Anyway, when asked about whether or not NXT see AEW as the main competition, he said they are going to compete with every wrestling genre that is out there as far as they are concerned. It shouldn't be any other way. I think everybody should be doing that, and I think the biggest winners are all of us that get to watch. Make no mistake about it, the men and women of NXT look at the entire world as their competition and want to go out there and show everybody why they think they are the best and why you should be watching them. And now on Wednesday nights on USA, wink wink nudge nudge, you are going to get that opportunity, and they're going to let it all hang out. Slightly weird. It's going to be a blast, not only for them, but for every wrestling fan walking God's green earth. So, I mean, the fact that he's even acknowledging AEW's competition is good, but the idea that it's going to be competing against all these other genres is interesting, because WWE produces predominantly only one genre of wrestling, the WWE style. What makes NXT great is that there's a lot of mesh styles, and you can sort of see all these styles meshing in to WWE, whereas AEW's biggest asset is that it is every single style being allowed to perform as well as it can. So if they're going to let it have free reign to do all kinds of matches, like really, strong style, comedy, the other ones.
I started I was
going to get 5 or 6 of these. Yeah, but technically wrestling, fast wrestling, slow wrestling, big wrestling, clubber wrestling, hairy wrestling, joke wrestling.
I believe you.
I do, though. I do for them. They'll make comments.
Yeah, you do. You better.
Anyway, though, so there. Looks like they're going to be doing absolutely everything on the show, which will be brilliant, in my opinion.
Indeed. And the thing is, it's interesting that everyone's talking about them competing with AEW or New Japan, however. NXT are going to be competing with Raw and Smackdown. It's as simple as it gets.
One thing,
they want the main roster. They want themselves to be considered to be the main roster.
One thing he did say in that was they're going to be competing with everybody who was in WWE, and I'm sitting there going, Sean, people's time is people's times, man. At the end of the day, Raw competes with Smackdown.
They'll be sitting there saying to them, you are going to prove that you're the best brand. Go out there and top those other shows, because they have been, and now they can do it on live television. So hopefully it works out for them.
Fully agree.
Fingers crossed it works out for them. I'm trying to find a segue.
I'm literally how you can do this. Speaking of WWE Hall of Famers who've done something we're about to talk about.
So, you know, why can't you do that for your own ones? You've just done that for mine. Anyway, what he said, because Stone Cold Steve Austin has been a very busy boy. Obviously, we all saw him on Monday Night Raw last week at Madison Square Garden, where he absolutely stole the show, undoubtedly, and he's still very much got it. But I don't know if you've noticed, Stone Cold Steve Austin is getting very, very good at his own personal brand.
Oh, he is,
his own shilling of merchandise, and he's suddenly developed this ability to play the game. He's always been good in the wrestling, but now post-wrestling, he's really upped his game. He drinks his own beer in WWE.
I thought that was brilliant.
That's fantastic. All these years he's been drinking Budweiser's or Coors Light. Now he's drinking his own beer. He's switched on, and obviously he's doing these shows like the Straight Up Steve Austin show that he's a big fan of. He wants that to get a second season, so he's had to switch on the savvy a little bit. And speaking of that, he's decided to file for some more trademarks. Now, previously in July and December, he had already filed for some trademarks, which were Broken Skull Ranch, Scullaflage, which I can only assume is his version.
Clothing.
Camouflage for the skull.
Scullaflage.
And King of Attitude. Well, he's been at it again, because in a week when WWE have been very busy, I know NXT have been getting a lot of trademarks for their superstars, etc., etc., and along with a bunch of new T-shirts on the website that you should check out, because no disrespect to the designer, but
they're very good.
3 minutes today.
Just while you're on the NXT trademarks, did you see they'd filed for Low Shirai?
Yes, I did. Let's not even go down that road. It's a whole other segment. But the newest trademarks that Stone Cold Steve Austin has applied for as of September the 11th are the Queen of Attitude, King of Professional Wrestling, and Steve Austin. So interesting, because I'm not entirely sure what we're believing these are going to be for, essentially merchandise opportunities, etc. But I think with that new show of his, I wonder if these are going to tie in potentially with that, because these sound like they could be the names of people who won a competition, or like the King of Attitude and Queen of Attitude. That sounds interesting to me.
Like, he is.
I don't know.
Maybe he's got himself a little squeeze.
I don't know.
He got himself a little boo.
I like Business Steve. I'm a big fan.
I like Business Steve, yeah.
He's always been great, but by his own admission, he would tell you, he's never been great post WWE, selling himself and getting himself around. Even when he was doing the podcast for WWE, he said he felt a bit uncomfortable, hadn't quite got his branding right, hadn't got his own delivery right. Now it looks like he's got a handle on those things, and he's getting very, very business savvy.
Did you see him? That goes for both of you, by the way. Did you see him on Hot Wings?
I did see him on.
Oh my word!
Which is where I first kind of really picked up on the fact that
he's getting it now, isn't he? He's getting it now. That's good for him.
He knows what he's doing, and he really, by the sound of things, I think it's dead cute, because he really, really wants a second season of this.
He does.
Like everywhere he goes, he's plugging it, he's talking about it, he's saying he really wants another.
Hey, you got to put the graft in.
Good for him, man. Steve Austin, man. Who wouldn't want?
If you're not going to gash yourself up, nobody else is going to do it. Although Scullaflage is that's dreadful.
Well, Steve, we'll have a word about that later.
Look, Steve, just drop us we'll come up with something better. I'm good at puns. I'm good at puns. Drop us a message. Give
him one. You could get such great puns as ice cold. I like it. Good. Very good.
Yeah.
Give one. Go on.
I got nothing. I got nothing.
Apart from the incoming heart attack.
Stone. I've genuinely got nothing. You have to do this outro while I'm thinking about it.
That's the news, everybody.
Let
us know your thoughts on all the news stories that we've had today.
Stone Island, Steve Austin.
That's bad. Try. Maybe come up with a few taglines for Steve Austin that he can possibly trademark in the future. Yes, let us know your thoughts on all those stories. You can follow WhatCulture on Twitter at WhatCulture WWE, or you can go on and find us on podcast networks and all sorts, can't they? Or wherever you get your extra content from. Go to the website, give us some clicks, whatculture.com/WWE. While he is breaking his heart,
Stone Coat.
Also follow him. Stone Coat.
Do you wear your Stone Coat?
No.
Your Stone Coat, Steve Austin.
Follow him at
Adam Clery, Clery. If you can't find it, just go on John Cena's recent followed account and it'll be in there somewhere.
There he is. And also send him a few of them names that he can't
Stone Coat,
really
Steve
enjoy
Austin's
that.
good.
For the rest of the day, follow me on Twitter at It's Adam Nicholas, and just other than that, have a lovely day. Anything you want to add?
I've got nothing. I've genuinely got nothing.
No, nothing.
Genuinely got nothing.
I thought you might have got one there, right?
Hashtag good afternoons. That's all I've got.
Well, thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time.